Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, humanity's newest and most powerful warship. Yet, in that moment, the ship felt small, insignificant, against the endless ocean of stars outside the viewport. Jake had commanded this vessel for 3 years, but he had never experienced a silence like this on his bridge. Every human ship across the fleet had received the same transmission, and every captain wore the same haunted expression. The voice that filled the command deck was calm, steady, and carried the weight of decades of experience. Admiral Lisa Carter. She was more than a superior officer. Jake knew her from the academy. If Lisa's voice carried a tremor, even hidden beneath protocol, he trusted it was for good reason. And today, her message would change everything for humanity. The transmission began with the familiar rhythm of military protocols. But then, it shifted, into something no human had ever heard before. The Galactic Confederation had spoken. A council claiming to represent over 200 alien species, ruling across thousands of star systems, had delivered an ultimatum to Earth and every human colony. Jake leaned forward as Admiral Carter's voice read the alien decree word for word. Humanity had 30 standard days to surrender unconditionally. All human fleets must stand down. All colonies must submit to protective custody. Earth itself would be placed under direct oversight. The reason? Humanity's dangerous expansion rate. Our unpredictable military innovations. Our refusal to move slowly, as the galaxy apparently demanded. To the Confederation, humanity was a destabilizing element. A fire spreading too quickly across dry grass. And so, the order was simple. Surrender, or be destroyed. Jake felt his stomach tighten. Humanity had been in space for less than a century. Maybe 50 colonies, scattered across the void, a flicker compared to alien civilizations with empires spanning millennia. And yet, despite our small footprint, the galaxy's most powerful alliance had chosen us as a threat worthy of annihilation. Why? Was it fear of what humans might become? Or was there something else hidden beneath their polite words of protective custody? Commander Ben Hayes, Earth's Chief of Strategic Intelligence, entered the bridge with classified reports. His face said everything before his words did. Long-range sensors confirmed it. The largest military force in recorded galactic history was already mobilizing. 50,000 alien warships, converging on human space. Each species brought technologies that humans had never even imagined. The Vorak, with shields that bent reality itself, rendering weapons useless. The Zalari, who could manipulate time, phasing their ships in and out of the present. The Krogan, with dreadnoughts larger than entire human stations, their arsenals capable of sterilizing whole worlds. Jake exhaled slowly. It wasn't just an ultimatum. It was a noose tightening. But the most disturbing revelation wasn't about weapons. Intercepted transmissions revealed what protective custody truly meant. Systematic enslavement. Genetic experimentation. Populations scattered across foreign worlds to break their unity. The brightest minds stolen for alien laboratories. Cultures erased, absorbed into the Confederation's bureaucracy. To them, humans weren't equals. We were specimens. Curiosities. Raw material. The choice was no choice at all. Back on Earth, President Helen Davis convened an emergency session of the Global Defense Council. Representatives from every colony, every world, gathered virtually. The debate was fierce, and divided. Some argued for negotiation, convinced that diplomacy might yet spare humanity. Others suggested limited resistance, delaying actions, evacuations, buying time. And then, Dr. Alan Foster of the Mars Research Institute presented the most chilling evidence of all. His analysis of intercepted data confirmed what history already whispered: every species that had accepted the Confederation's terms had been broken. Their cultures dissolved. Their independence erased. Protective custody was nothing but slavery wrapped in sterile language. Dr. Foster's voice was steady, but every word fell like a hammer: if we surrender, we cease to exist. Resistance is not preferable. It is necessary. It is survival itself. The council argued into the night. Military advisors laid out grim assessments. Even united, humanity's fleets were hopelessly outmatched. Our odds of survival were infinitesimal. But President Davis understood something deeper. Extinction was coming, no matter the path chosen. The only difference was whether humanity died free, or shackled. When she finally stood to speak, the chamber fell silent. She spoke not as a politician, but as the voice of human history itself. Humanity had always chosen freedom over safety. Independence over comfortable chains. We had faced impossible odds before, and survived. And so, if the galaxy demanded surrender, humanity would answer with defiance. If the Confederation wanted to shatter human civilization, they would have to fight for every star system, every planet, every human life. Her declaration marked the moment humanity chose its destiny among the stars. Across the fleet, Admiral Carter closed her transmission with words that echoed in every captain's heart. Return to base. Prepare for total war. The countdown had begun. 30 days. 30 days until the largest armada in history arrived at Earth, expecting submission. Instead, they would find a species that had never learned the meaning of surrender. Jake Morrison watched the stars outside the viewport, and for the first time, he understood. The galaxy believed humans were dangerous. And soon, they were going to learn just how right they were. What would you choose, if you were on that council? Surrender to overwhelming power, or fight against impossible odds? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how you see humanity's place among the stars. And if you're enjoying this slow, thoughtful dive into humanity versus the galaxy, don't forget to subscribe for part 2, where we'll see how Earth prepares for the war of survival. The decision had been made. Humanity would not surrender. But choosing defiance was only the first step. The true question was this: how does a young species, outnumbered and outgunned, prepare to stand against the largest military coalition in history? On Earth, in orbiting shipyards, and in hidden colonies spread across the stars, humanity began its countdown to survival. At first, the response was chaos. Markets collapsed. Panic spread across colonies as news of the ultimatum reached every settlement. Families debated whether to flee deeper into space, or to return to Earth to make their last stand. But strangely, the fear became a unifying force. For decades, Earth's nations had squabbled over resources, politics, ideology. Mars distrusted Earth. The outer colonies distrusted both. But now, none of that mattered. For the first time in history, all of humanity was one people with one fate. Jake Morrison, captain of the Defiance, found himself watching this transformation in real time. Recruitment stations overflowed. Scientists worked without sleep. Civilians volunteered for militia service, for courier runs, for supply missions that might never return. Even in fear, humanity was not paralyzed. It was mobilized. The Galactic Confederation expected open resistance, fleets thrown recklessly into battle, declarations shouted across the void. That was how most species had resisted in the past. But humanity chose another path. Admiral Carter's orders were clear: do not reveal our hand until the last possible moment. Every shipyard operated under strict silence. New weapons were tested in deep space black zones, hidden from alien sensors. Colonies that had once bragged about independence now transmitted only static. To the outside galaxy, it appeared as though humanity had frozen in shock, perhaps even preparing to surrender. In truth, every second was being spent sharpening the knife. The Confederation's mistake was assuming humans thought like them. Alien empires, older and more stable, valued preservation above all else. Surrender meant survival, even if it was humiliating. But humans were different. Jake understood it when he looked into the eyes of his crew. They were afraid, yes. But beneath the fear burned something else, the same fire that had carried humans across oceans, across continents, and now across the stars. It was not just survival they fought for. It was identity. As Dr. Foster of Mars put it in one broadcast that went viral across the colonies. If humanity kneels, it ceases to be humanity. Better extinction as ourselves than eternity as slaves. Those words became a kind of prayer. A mantra. And across the galaxy, intercepted transmissions carried them farther than anyone expected. Not every alien species in the Confederation was unified in its hatred of humanity. Some listened carefully to the defiant broadcasts leaking from human space. Others remembered their own histories, of how their people had once been proud, independent, before bending the knee to the Council. Whispers began to spread. If these humans were truly reckless, they would throw themselves at the Confederation headlong. But instead, they went quiet. Too quiet. Was it cowardice? Or calculation? For the first time, doubt entered the Confederation's ranks. Meanwhile, humanity's strategists studied the enemy with obsessive focus. The Vorak shields bent reality, but at the cost of massive energy drain. Could they be overloaded with sheer persistence? The Zalari phased in and out of time, but their cycles required predictable windows. Could those windows be exploited? The Krogan dreadnoughts were devastating, but also slow, vulnerable to swarms of smaller ships. Every alien strength was catalogued, every weakness magnified. Humanity might not have superior weapons, but it had something else, creativity in desperation. In hidden labs, prototypes emerged that blurred the line between science and madness. AI-guided microdrones designed to infiltrate alien ships like viruses. Stealth drives pushing physics to its edge, rendering vessels nearly invisible. Weapons not meant to destroy fleets, but to disrupt, confuse, and fracture the enemy's unity. It was not just a war of firepower. It was a war of psychology. As the days counted down, a strange cultural shift spread through human space. Artists painted murals of broken chains on colony walls. Musicians composed symphonies of resistance, haunting melodies echoing across encrypted channels. Children wore patches that read, "We do not kneel." For the Confederation, these were meaningless gestures. But for humanity, they were fuel. Symbols mattered. Stories mattered. And every story reminded humans that they were not fighting for victory alone. They were fighting for the right to remain themselves. 30 days shrank to 20. Then to 10. Scouts reported the alien armada crossing the outer markers of human space. Thousands upon thousands of ships, blotting out the stars. The galaxy believed humanity was paralyzed by fear. But Jake Morrison knew the truth. Behind the silence, behind the stillness, humanity was holding its breath, waiting for the exact moment to strike. Admiral Carter's final encrypted order arrived at every fleet commander, every colony defense hub, every hidden outpost. Do not break the silence until the first alien sets foot on human soil. Then show them what it means to fight a species that refuses extinction. Jake read the message twice, and a strange calm settled over him. The galaxy thought it understood humanity. Soon, it would learn that humans were not afraid of losing. They were only afraid of never trying. Do you think humanity's strategy of silence and psychological warfare could actually work against a vastly superior galactic power? Or is this only delaying the inevitable? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'm curious how you would prepare for total war. And don't forget to subscribe for part 3, where the galaxy finally unleashes its armada, and discovers the cost of underestimating humanity. The galaxy had waited. For 30 days, the armada of the Galactic Confederation crept ever closer to Earth. Entire fleets blotted out the stars, a tide of warships unmatched in number and power. And through it all, humanity had remained silent. No countermessage. No plea for mercy. No fleet sent to meet them. The council believed it had broken human will before a single shot was fired. They were wrong. The moment came quietly. A Confederation Vanguard ship slipped past the asteroid belt, scanning for resistance. Its sensors reported nothing but silence. Encouraged, the alien captain sent a message back to the fleet: human defenses are non-existent. That was when the stars exploded. Hidden in the asteroid shadows, human vessels decloaked, weapons primed. Swarms of microdrones slipped into alien hulls, disabling shields before crews even understood what was happening. Orbital mines ignited, shredding escorts in brilliant bursts of fire. The Vanguard was erased in minutes. Across the fleet, alarms blared. For the first time, the galaxy realized, humanity had been waiting. The Confederation moved forward, confident that sheer numbers would overwhelm. And yet, everywhere they advanced, humanity struck not with strength, but with precision. Convoys vanished into ambushes. Communications fractured as human jammers painted the void with static. Small strike ships, agile, desperate, dove into the heart of dreadnought formations, detonating themselves to blind enemy sensors. It was war as the galaxy had never seen it, messy, unpredictable, asymmetric. The Confederation had come prepared for conquest. Instead, they found themselves trapped in a war of attrition. Jake Morrison, aboard the Defiance, watched alien battle groups scatter in confusion. His crew was exhausted, wounded, half-starved. Yet their eyes burned with something stronger than fear, belief. They were no longer just soldiers. They were symbols. Victory came at a terrible price. Every battle meant sacrifice. Ships were lost by the dozens. Colonies burned. Families sent messages to loved ones, knowing they might never be read. Jake saw too many names carved into memorial walls, too many comrades reduced to silence in the void. But unlike the alien fleets, humanity did not shatter when blood was spilled. Loss only hardened them. Every destroyed settlement became a rallying cry. Every fallen ship became a story told and retold, until even grief became a weapon. This was the part the galaxy had never understood: humans did not break when beaten. They grew sharper. As weeks turned to months, whispers rippled across alien worlds. The Confederation had promised a swift war. Instead, it dragged on. Instead of a broken species begging for mercy, there were reports of human victories, of alien fleets routed, of a resistance too stubborn to crush. Alien civilians began asking questions their rulers could not answer. Why was the war taking so long? Why were humans so young, so few, able to stand against the combined might of 1,000 worlds? And beneath those questions, another, more dangerous thought began to spread: if humanity could resist, perhaps others could too. For humanity, this war was never about conquest. It was about existence, about proving that they could not be erased, no matter the odds. Admiral Carter made it clear in one broadcast, sent across encrypted waves for the galaxy to hear. We do not fight for domination. We do not fight for empire. We fight because no species should be told it has no right to stand. Those words reached more ears than any weapon could. To oppressed peoples within the Confederation, they were a spark. To the Council, they were a poison, a reminder that every strike against humanity only spread its message further. At last, the Confederation launched its final gambit, a direct assault on Earth itself. Hundreds of capital ships descended, blotting out the skies. The Council believed this would end it, that destroying humanity's cradle would destroy its spirit. But they misunderstood. Earth was not undefended. Beneath its surface, weapon platforms ignited. In orbit, hidden fleets emerged. And across the planet, billions of humans stood ready, not just soldiers, but civilians who had chosen to fight with whatever they could hold. When the first alien ships descended, they were met not with surrender, but with fire from every direction. Humanity revealed its final truth: the war was never about saving Earth. It was about proving Earth could not be taken. The Confederation realized too late that they had not invaded a planet. They had stepped into the heart of a people willing to burn everything rather than kneel. The war did not end that day. It would rage on, bitter and brutal. Humanity's survival was never guaranteed. But in that first great stand, the galaxy learned something it could never forget. Humans were not the strongest. Not the most advanced. Not the most numerous. But they were something far more dangerous. They were a species that refused extinction. A species that turned every loss into fuel, every defeat into defiance. And in their resistance, they forced the galaxy to confront a terrifying possibility. If one species could rise against the Confederation, then perhaps the Age of Empires was not eternal. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiance, staring at the wreckage drifting across Earth's skies. His ship was battered, his crew half gone. But they were alive. And in the silence after battle, a single thought burned in his mind. We have shown them who we are. That message echoed across the stars. Not in words, but in fire, in sacrifice, in the unyielding will of a species too stubborn to die. The galaxy would never be the same. For the first time in 500,000 years, the Confederation had seen something it could not crush. And humanity, bloodied, broken, but unbowed, had proven its place among the stars. If humanity faced impossible odds, would we fight to the end, or surrender for survival? What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you've stayed with me through this trilogy, thank you for journeying into the fire and darkness of humanity's defiance. Subscribe for more stories like this, where we explore not just the battles of the future, but the spirit that carries us beyond the stars.